Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, TheMadKaiger. And up here today, we have another video game review. We're going to be talking about a game that I recently played, Eat Lead, The Return of Matt Hazard. Now, this game came out in 2008, I believe. 2008. And it was on PS3 and Xbox 360. It might have been on PC as well, I'm not sure. But you might be thinking, okay, the return of Matt Hazard. What's he returning from? Who is Matt Hazard? Well, apparently Matt Hazard's been around for 25 years. Now, when you look at that, you think, 25 years, Matt Hazard? Why have I never heard of this guy? You know, I know my video games. I've never heard of Matt Hazard. What games has he been in? Well, he's been in two games. This and a Xbox Live arcade game, which was like a 2.5D shooter. You might be thinking, okay, how is that 25 years of gaming? That's when you realise this game is a parody game. This is a spoof game. This game is a game that knows it's a video game. It takes the piss. It breaks the fourth wall a lot. And the whole plot of this game is you play as Matt Hazard and you're inside a video game. And basically you're playing through this video game as him. But you're not meant to be playing through it. You're basically trying to be hunted down. You know, you're meant to be replaced. He's this star that was in the games, you know, for so long, and now he's trying to be replaced, and you're trying to, you know, fight your way through and stuff, through these levels and stuff. Now, the first thing I actually realised is that the main character in this game is voiced by Will Arnett. And I was like, oh my god, BoJack Horseman is the main character of this game. And that was great. I just loved the voice of Will Arnett. He's such a good voice actor. But I don't know, man. So I want to talk about the things about this game. So like I said, the first thing you need to know is that when you're playing through this game, it kind of changes a lot. So you might be going through a level where, you know, like it starts off just as a basic level, fighting off, you know, bodyguards and guards and things. And the next thing you know, you've got zombies spawning in, or, you know, characters with laser water pistols, or you know, pixelated characters and all this crazy stuff. And I like that because it breaks the fourth wall a lot, and it really changes up what enemy type shouldn't be in that level. You know, it goes to that whole hacking inside a video game. It reminds me a lot of Saints Row 4 in its way that it broke the fourth wall. Like, you know, in Saints Row 4, how in Saints Row 4 you have those missions where you go to all these different areas and you're fighting all these different enemies, and then other enemies will spawn in. It has that, and that's pretty cool. The game has a lot of, you know, humour to it, and really sort of takes the piss out of other video games and cliches and things like that. And, you know, this game is very self-aware. But other than that, it is generic. Now, the gameplay just plays very much like a sort of third-person action shooter, very similar to other third-person action shooters at the game at the time. You know, it has a small sort of cover-based system in it, but it works for the most part. But other than that, there's nothing else really to the gameplay. There's one thing you can do, which basically, when you kill enemies, they drop like this core, and you absorb it, and it gives you like a power meter. And when it's full, you can either imbue your attacks with ice or fire. But other than that, there's nothing else to it. You know, it is a pretty funny spoof game, and you know, you've got all these different enemy types that, you know, should be there, shouldn't be there, and you know, that's fine and dandy, but I don't know, man. I've got a bunch of complaints about this game. The first is that the enemies in this game, there's no clear pattern to what enemies are going to spawn. But that's fine. But at the same time, I would have really liked like a time splitter thing going on here, where you have different levels, and then you've got those types of enemies in the levels, but then every so often maybe a different enemy type spawns in. And it kind of does that, but it doesn't do it well enough. I would have loved, you know, like a level where you're you know, like a level where, you know, you're in space or something and stuff like that. But I don't know, there's too much going on in terms of what enemies should be there, what shouldn't be there. There's no consistency. And unfortunately, you know, the genericness of this game really bums everything out. Because you're playing through this game and you want to see what crazy things are going to happen. But you're playing it and you're just like, there's nothing to it. There's no oomph. There's no factor in this game that I really enjoy. Now, another thing that I find in this game is that the enemies in this game are just, even though you've got lots of different types of enemies, there's no clear difference between them. You know, yes, some enemies might be a little bit tougher than others. Some enemies might have different weapons. But I would have really liked to have seen, for example, like the cowboy characters in this game. You know, they could have had like a specialist per class. You know, you could have had the standard soldier version and you could have had the specialist. So like the cowboys could have had like rifles, but also throw dynamite. When you kill them, you can pick up dynamite. You know, the Space Marines could have had like characters that you know, have like shields, and when you kill them, you can pick up like shield generators and stuff like that. You know, but there's nothing really to that. There's no clear difference between the enemy types. My biggest complaint is the Kraken. Now, in this game, there are boss fights, but you know, there are a few annoying things about this game. There are 3 really annoying things about this game. The first is the boss fights in this game are not really boss fights. All they are is just button prompts. They're quick time events. And yeah, they can be a bit funny at times, but other than that, there's nothing special about them. My other complaint is that there is a level where you have to go through it and you've got this guy who's trying to snipe you. And you have to like get through the level without him sniping you because it's a one-hit kill and you have to stay in cover and stuff. And it is a little bit like, whoa, you know, it's a bit stressy, a bit, well, makes you feel like, whoa, oh my god, am I going to make it and stuff. And yeah, okay, it is a little bit creative, but my biggest complaint is the Kraken boss fight. When I got to the Kraken boss fight, the game completely changes and fucks you over big time. Like I said, before this, the game is pretty tame. You know, it can be a bit challenging at times. You can sometimes get killed pretty easy. But for the most part, it's easy enough to get through. The Kraken, on the other hand, is absolutely terrible. So you're on this tiny little pirate ship and you've got this Kraken with like three armed tentacles on each side. And the first part, you have to just avoid his attacks. You avoid the attacks when it comes down, and every so often it will get stuck and you shoot the glowing part. Seems simple enough. But no, it isn't. There's no clear pattern to it. When it's going to attack, you don't know where it's going to attack. You have to keep moving. The only hint the game gives you is keep moving. And you do that. But every so often it will spawn in a Space Marine character. And the Space Marine characters are, I'd say, the toughest enemies in the game. They have the most armor. So they can, you know, take a lot of damage. And the only weapon the game really gives you is the SMGs. And the problem is with the SMG is it's incredibly weak. When you get dual-wield versions, yes, it can tear through enemies pretty fast, but the recoil is terrible. So, you know, you're constantly trying to dodge the Kraken attack, and if it hits you, even if it's nowhere near you, but it still hits you, it's a one-hit kill. I fucking hate that in games where they got enemies that kill you in one hit, no matter if it's a clear hit or a close call. I hate that. And then once you manage to get past that part, somehow, with luck, because like I said, there's no clear way of knowing, when you stop to try and see when it's going to attack, the one next to you will attack. So you can't stand still to see which one you've got to avoid, because there's no clear pattern. Then the second part is where it's got the tentacles on the actual ship, and you shoot the tentacles, and then one tentacle will come up in the air and as a mine, and you have to shoot the mine before it throws it at you. Again, it seems simple enough. But no, the game fucks you over even more. Using those SMGs half the time you're not going to hit the mine because it's covering it up. The claw's like that. And the mine's like just slightly in here and you can barely see it. And you might think, okay, maybe I'll use the pistol that the Space Marines drop. No, because when you use that, it's not fast enough. You don't, you don't have enough time to shoot it. Because it also spawns in 3 or 4 more Space Marines. So you're getting shot at by the Space Marines. You're trying to shoot a thing in the sky, in the air, and you don't have enough time. That's why I gave up. And I know that the game might get a bit better afterwards. There might be some other crazy parts of the game. But I gave up there. I hate when games do that. If you're going to have a game that's generic but playable, fine. Keep it like that. I understand that every so often the game needs to add something a bit different to the game to try and, change it up, get rid of any monotony, monotonous gameplay. But the Kraken is just completely unfair, It doesn't matter if you're playing it on easy or hard, it's just unfair. You've got enemies coming at you, you're trying to avoid this thing, you're trying to shoot it in the air. There's no clear way of doing it. Now, I have beaten this game before. I remember years ago when I played this game, I beat it. And part of me is tempted to give it another go and try and beat the Kraken. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to put myself in more stress because it really stressed me out. I wanted to like this game a lot because I love spoof movies. I love spoof, games that are self-aware. I love movies that are self-aware. Because it's stupid, but it's enjoyable. This game just, other than it just being a spoof, there's nothing really else to it. This game should have had something in it. It would have been really cool, like, if this game had, like, an upgrade system, or, on different levels you have, like, a different gimmick per level, If you were in the space level, they could have had, like, a shield barrier you could put down, or a jetpack, or something like that, and they could have had a cowboy world where you use cowboy weapons, and then, you might, like, have a Deadeye ability, or something like that. I don't know. I would like to see Eat Lead come back because I feel like if they did a new Eat Lead game, they could really, really have fun with it and really, push things even further. But yeah, it just, it just doesn't have enough going for it, unfortunately. I recommend playing it at least once to see what all the fuss is about, because it can be pretty funny at times, and the game isn't terrible. There are worse games out there, but Eat Lead, man, I'd give this game maybe like a 5.5 stars out of 10, or maybe a 5 star. It's in the middle. It's in the middle between being a fun game, but also a pretty subpar game. And, I appreciate that they tried to do something a bit different here. They enjoyed having fun with the game. They made all the jokes and all that stuff. And I can appreciate that. I really can. But if you're going to do that, at least try to make a little bit more effort on the gameplay. It seems like they spent too much time just trying to make this game as stupid and as funny as possible. But you can still have a game that's funny and stupid, but also enjoyable at the same time. Saints Row 4 is a great example of a game that is out there. It's crazy. It's over the top. And yes, I know a lot of people don't like it because it weren't like what Saints Row was about. But the game is fun. It's fun. That's what this game should have been like. It should have been a really over-the-top game, but still been enjoyable. I'd recommend trying it out, but I would recommend maybe borrowing it off someone, or if you see it cheap, I wouldn't pay more than like £3 or £4 for this game. That is a cheap game anyway. Probably get it for a couple of quid. Again, I don't know if there's any difference between the Xbox and the PS3 version. I highly doubt it. But Eat Lead, The Return of Matt Hazard is a game that it really sort of marks the sort of late 2000, before 2010, where games were really about trying to be creative and over the top and trying to do something different. Unfortunately, they just didn't put enough effort into the actual gameplay. So, Eat Lead, yeah. I mean, there were worse games I've played. There were much better games that I've played. But it's a semi-memorable game. But yeah, Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little review. I will be doing a review of Dynasty Warriors 4 Extreme Legends next. I'm going to be playing that. I've actually got the day to myself, actually, so I'm going to actually play some Dynasty Warriors Extreme Legends. I will be playing some Overwatch tonight, so I'll be streaming Overwatch tonight. Probably get a few people here, probably be me, my friend, and a couple of others, so we'll see how it goes. And as always, guys, feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments below, have you played Eat Lead? What do you think of it? Would you like to see a sequel? I haven't played the other version of the game, which is like a 2.5D game. I think that game was much more tame. It didn't really have a lot of over-the-top stuff in it. And as always, guys, subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and Twitch at TheMadKaiger. I'll be streaming tonight at 7 PM. British Standard Time with some Overwatch. And as always, guys, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and bye-bye.